And that gets us onto a topic we need a glass of wine to have around
pharmaceuticals
place in all of that.
There's another thing I noted down earlier. I think right now, one of the feedbacks, I've forgotten who I was listening to. I was listening to some AI expert, and it was a guy who was at Harvard and then at MIT. I'll think of his name in just a moment. He was on another podcast, and he was talking about the beauty of AI, and he says right now, what are the limitations of AI? And he says the present limitation is that it is not independently intelligent, which means if you give artificial intelligence the responsibility to calculate an algorithm or kind of decide, the only way it can come up with a solution is if that element of the solution or the solution has already been aggregated in the system, which kind of goes back to that statement I said. If you ask ChatGPT to give you statistics on something, it'll say, "Well, I only have the data up until 2021, right?"
Yeah.
So that would I think that's an indication of if you're going to put it into stages again, a lower level of evolution of artificial intelligence. Would you dare to give a prognosis when artificial intelligence and how many years artificial intelligence will be to, I don't know if you want to call it sentience or cognitive ability, when it will be able to, in the absence of certain data points, be able to be truly creative? Because I think creativity is one element of intelligence where human beings have just always had an advantage on systems. Do you foresee a time period where AI will challenge us there as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want to put a time period on it, because I think in our current context on this planet, there's other matters that also might disrupt any prediction to do with our climate crisis, and the modelling that AI is clearly helping with as well. But I would not be surprised if there may be instances that may already exist somewhere that people aren't talking about, but I would certainly think from an AI taking over, the being truly creative, creativity is definitely in the eye of the beholder. As you mentioned, looking at the images that AI can create at the moment, that could be perceived by many people to be a form of creativity, and some of the art that has recently been purchased that was AI generated went for millions of dollars, before people realized what it was. So, it is quite a challenging concept.
So you're saying there's a spectrum for creativity, to use the buzzword.
I would say so. And again, like if you and I went to the same art gallery, you would like things that I might not like. So it challenges that concept of creativity. But one of the amazing people I've spoken to recently is a prolific artist. She uses AI as just a thought bubble promoter, a bit of a promoter of ideas, and then she'll go on totally different tangents that she never even dreamed possible because of AI being almost like a suggestion.
I appreciate that pushback, and I hear you, and I think that's a valid point that I hadn't thought of. Since you mentioned it, simulations is something that we've been doing since we've had IT, be it, I don't know, military games. Can you foresee AI maybe helping us with the climate issue? I
think it already is. Yeah, I think it already is. And I've seen some examples of AI modelling, even in terms of predictions around polar ice cap freezer levels, for example, being utilised by scientists to look at images that have been collected of the same sort of, national park, for example, for years, and then seeing the sort of degradation or the changes to water quality over time from these longitudinal studies. So I think AI is already having a role there, and robotics combined with modern forms of agriculture is also having a role there around even the breeding programs of cattle or other sort of domestic animals.
I know that the
apologies to the vegans, but also
the agricultural university here in Vienna has an amazing state of the art where they use drones that fly out of the forests, and they and they can identify exactly in what stage every tree is and whether the composition of the woods and depending on temperature and what they have to plant and what they have to harvest. It's amazing what's out there.